time because uh, we felt we're not going to see an appreciation in real estate values. And so we could live within our retirement income. That was the whole thing. And we liked it out here. You know, no street lights, and trees, and 3 lakes. And, what do we have? Half a dozen parks today on the island. And so it was, and the golf course, you know, we're right on the golf course. That's what really drew my wife here. She's from Liverpool, England. And for her, it was like England, the weather here. And then being that she caddied for the golf pros here in the Northwest, she saw the golf course here. So this was it, you know. So that's how we ended up here. And well, let's see. Do I have a preference of a branch of service?
What prompted you to join the military?
Oh, well, I'm just 18 years old, and I had to do something, go somewhere. And I was in the Naval Reserve, and I thought, when we got through that hurricane, I said, the Navy's not for me. So I joined the Army and the paratroops. So I was in the 82nd Airborne, 505, 505th. I was a gunner on a 75 recoilless rifle. You know, it's one of those things is you fire the damn thing and you run for a different position, otherwise you're done.
Because they shoot back at you, or?
Oh, they could see the blasts from the recoilless rifle. So I said, I want the first shot to count. I don't want a bracket. One here, one there, and then the third shot, you make it. Oh no, that is death warmed over. So I was pretty good on the first shot with that recoilless rifle. In fact, I made...
Where were you then?
At Fort Bragg.
Okay.
Yeah, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And
Were you sent overseas from there?
no, I was always in the United States. And I remember I was just a private, and we had to go parade in, I think, Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, the military always has certain celebration days. I don't remember the days, but so we were up there and we were all lined up and in our best uniforms, and the general came down to checking out the troops. And he's from the Pentagon, I guess. And he stopped, he saw me, and he said, "Soldier, where's your stripes?" I said, "I don't have any." And he said that, he turned to the captain of our company. He says, "Is there any reason why this soldier shouldn't have a stripe?" And the captain said, "No." He said, "You're now a PFC." Got a stripe right there. And when I met Omar Bradley, talked with him, you know, shook hands and all that stuff. He was getting pretty old then. But I tell you, it was almost as dangerous in training in the paratroops as it was going off somewhere. Because the shells that we used, some of them, I remember we were on an exercise and we had a guy from the Pentagon, an inspector type guy, who seeing how we're doing it. And we were forging ahead, and this all of a sudden the recoilless rifles behind us were firing ahead of us. All of a sudden he said, "Drop into the ditch." He could hear the shell because he was an experienced veteran. It was a short round. The damn thing landed, 25 feet from us, and we were in the ditch, thank goodness. And so that's as close as I got to.
So the recoilless rifle, it shot a projectile?
Yeah.
And that exploded then when it hit, or
Oh yeah,
was it timed or on impact?
on impact.
On impact.
Yeah, for tanks, after tanks. And and then they had me. I did quite a bit of things. They sent me to leadership school, and I came out on tops on that. And then we have a little R&R, I guess, recreation. And they always had me, they knew I was a lifeguard before I came into service. So they had me kind of watching it. I dragged one guy out, he was drowning. We were at some lake, It's and in the beginning, you have these exercises you got to do. And I made 100% on all of them except one, and that was the chin-up. No one could do 20 chin-ups. You maybe get 18, that's what I got, 18. That was it. I couldn't do more no matter how hard I tried. And that was the same with all the guys. Nobody could do 20 chin-ups. But I got 100% on everything else. And that's why they kind of sent me, I made expert on all the weapons too. And they sent me to leadership school. Oh, what the hell else did I do there? So, the Korean War was started already. And we were part of a contingent to go over there. We had to go do some training first. And that's when I passed tests to go into pilot training. So they jerked me out, and I went up to Virginia to be interviewed by the ranking personnel, And so they put me in a pilot training, Randolph Air Force Base. That was before we had the Air Force Academy, you see. Oh boy. And that worked out pretty good, but there were some experiences there. And I know we'd have to go out for exercises, and the guy that was in charge, he was an ex-paratrooper. When he saw me with my paratrooper wings, he looked at me, he says, "You don't have to do these exercises." He said, "I know how good shape you're in. You could take this hour off." And I took off too. But the rest of them had to sweat and go through the routine of exercises. They had a mixture of newbies and some military personnel like me, and some that were lieutenants already, but were going through pilot training. And so I enjoyed that, learn how to fly.
What did you learn to fly?
Terrible 6, T6. It's still a lot of them flying around. It was a good aircraft. I learned how to do navigation and maneuvers and all this stuff. And then came the day Truman was president. And it was cutback time. That was the end of my training right there.
Oh, you didn't complete it?
No, I was ready to go into, I went up, they sent me to Waco, Texas. I was up there still training in T6s. And about that time, we were about ready to go into bombers, not fighters. That was, for some reason, I was supposed to go into bombers. And Truman axed the budget, the military budget. And they just cut. And we were part of it. So where do I go now? What do I do now? So they sent me down to Fort Worth, Texas to be a crew member on a B-36. So I ended up on B-36. That's there's only one left. It's at Wright-Patterson Air Force Museum down in Ohio. And so we had a 17-man crew. It was 3 pilots, 2 engineers, navigator, bombardier, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gun positions, and we didn't use 50 calibers. We had 20 millimeter cannons, which is a hell of a lot more of a weapon, because the plane was big enough to handle all that. And I was the youngest guy in the crew. I remember the gear, we couldn't get the pilot couldn't get the gear down, and he says, "Brown, get out in the wheel well and crank it down." He says, "You're in a paratroops in case you fall through, Yeah. I said, "Gee, thanks." So I had to go out there and crank down the wheels. He had some experiences I had, and but we did an awful lot of flying. Sometimes upwards of 30 hours at a time up in the air. Mostly it was around 20, 24 hours. We'd go up. Fly up into Canada, pick up Canadian fighters, practice gunnery, camera. And down in Birmingham, Alabama, we do RBS runs on the steel mills there. And where else did we? Oh, we'd fly up. I was in the 92nd Bomb Squadron, and we were SAC Select Crew. That meant we carried the A-bomb. We had 4 bomb bays. 1 for the bomb, 1 for all its survival canisters, and 1 for an extra fuel tank, and the 4th one was always empty. Nothing. And our refueling spot was up in Alaska. And from there we were on our way to our target, which we were assigned a target in Russia, Moscow, northern industrial sector. No formation flying. You just utilize the seven variables of evasion. Altitude, speed, I forget them all, and maneuvering, and I don't remember all of them, but anyway, the only time we got called out was when the Chinese came into the Korean War. We were on our way to Russia, and they called us back. And one other time we were partly on our way, but they called back right away. I forget what that was about. I just remember when the Chinese came in, that's when we had to make the long haul.
When the Chosin Reservoir fight was going on
Yeah.
at the Yellow River?
Yeah, and that was, I'm glad I wasn't in paratroops at our contingents for that. It was bad news. I talked to a friend of mine that was part of that contingent, Romero. He's from Milwaukee. He told me, he said he was only one out of 6 guys out of the paratroop contingent that was sent there that was not terrible frostbitten, wounded, or killed. He was one of the 6. He said, I didn't get a scratch. I said, well, I'm glad I would have been with you if I had to go. So, anyway, that's the B-36 had 4 jets. There's a dual jet module on each wing. And we had 6 reciprocating push Pratt & Whitney prop engines. And that was about it. So a lot of flight hours. One time we came in for a landing, and I was in the back of the plane resting, and an engine was on fire, and the top sergeant, I saw him, he said, Brown, he woke me up, kind of, and he was jumping out. We're on the runway now, and the engine was on fire, and he jumped out, and I didn't know what the hell's going on. All I saw was flame. I went right out after him. And the colonel was a little bit unhappy because they snuffed out the fire, but you know what? I don't know. He was just a little upset, but he got over it, no problem. He could understand, when all you see is flame out your blister, the guys are going to do what they have to do. So.
At that point, you probably couldn't have done anything anyway.
No, we couldn't do anything in the back.
So.
Yeah. No, what else? Well, we used to fly from Carswell Air Force Base to San Diego, where the plane would get overhauled at the air base there, and it's still the same air base there. You go in for a landing, and you can look into the apartment windows and see people half naked or doing their thing in their apartments. It's still that way.
So how long were you on the B-36?
Yeah.
How long were you assigned to that airplane?
Oh, until I quit the military. It was a couple of years. Yeah, it was about a couple of years in paratroops and a couple of years, in the B-36. But what happened, the reason I didn't stay in the military was there was another budget cut. And for instance, our lead pilot, he was a full bird colonel. He said to me, I'm being reduced down to captain. And everybody else is being reduced. He said, it's best you probably get out and go get your education like you want. I told him, I said, well, I thought getting out and go to school. And anyway, so, and he said with the way things are going, he said, you don't have an education. He said, the most you could ever hope to do in the military is, like a first lieutenant or something. And maybe captain. But he said, what's happening is all of the the graduates from the military schools, they're going to get all the high positions, you know, captain on up. He said it's not in the cards for you to see any real advancement in the military because no education. So I got out and went to the University of Wisconsin.
Did you have the GI Bill then?
Yeah, I had the GI Bill, paid for everything, which was nice. And but no more military. That was it for me. And
So did you, while you were in the service, you were not married or anything those 4 years?
I was single
You were single?
the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, I was single the whole time. Well, I had a girlfriend. She was Miss Arizona. In fact, she was a runner-up to Miss America.
Wow.
And I was dating her, but she had a boyfriend. They all do. They have more than one. At St. Luke's Air Force Base. And so that was the only. And you know, the paradox of all this is I'm flying airplanes before I even had an auto driver's license. I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license to drive a car. And
So I guess the military, when they needed people, they put effort into it, and when they didn't need them anymore, they
yeah,
put the kibosh on.
yeah, exactly. That's why, one reason why I got out on that. You're subject to the politicians in Washington, D.C. when they're, what is it, the military budget in the pie takes up, is that the biggest slice of the pie?
I think so.
Or is it social welfare? One of the two. Anyway, they both take up most of the pie. And that's why I got out too. And there's no future in it outside of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting your ass shot off, you know what I mean? So.
Well, I thank you for doing this interview.
Yeah.
We are running out of the memory here.
Well, I can tell you this, that I was at the new museum in Washington, D.C., the military. I think it was, and when they found out I was in the 92nd Bomb Squadron, you know, carrying the atomic weapon and stuff, they wanted me to stay there. They wanted me to interview me for everything. I said, I can't, I gotta leave. So I never, they said, we have the least amount of information on that. I said, well.
There's a reason.
Yes, you're right. And now I understand where you're coming from there. Yeah, there was a reason. It's amazing how much the military covers up and how much the politicians cover up. I don't like to blame agency people for the government because they're doing a good job and doing what they're supposed to do. But they have to take orders from the politicians. Mm-hmm. And it's wasn't a well, anyway, I had a good experience with the military, so I did my job. Yeah. That's all they asked about.
Well, thank you for the interview, Elmer.